What is up, guys? It's Doodoo Poker here, back for another video. Today we are going to be talking about 3 common myths in 3-bet pots. What am I talking about? I mean, a lot of poker advice is just not correct. A lot of people just hear things and they just pass it down and assume it's correct without verifying the facts. The first myth that is a myth in 3-bet pots is that your flop C-bet gets an overfold. In most formations, your flop C-bet is going to be overcalled. Let's look at some data. If I look at the field as the 3-bet pot, out of position pre-flop caller, cutoff versus button 3-bet, what do you guys notice? You notice that they're overcalling or on the low end of GTO for a C-bet. Why is this? This is because they're overfolding pre-flop to the 3-bet, which means their range is too strong on the flop. And this is the most studied node in poker, or one of the most studied nodes, the flop defense to a small C-bet. So when the cutoff versus button 3-bet, we see them overcalling. If we also look at the field as the 3-bet pot out of position pre-flop caller, under the gun and hijack versus button 3-bet, we see the same thing. The only exception to this rule is in the widest formation, small blind versus big blind, there is an overfold. So you want to be c-betting more in the big blind 3-bet versus small blind call. But in the other formations, you want to be c-betting less than theory. This is going to be the opposite of what most people tell you. The second myth in 3-bet pots is the flop check raise is underbluffed. Now, this is going to depend on if the 3-bet pot PFR is in position or out of position. If the 3-bet pot player is the OOP PFR, what do I mean? I mean, let's take a spot, big blind 3-bet versus cutoff. If the big blind checks and the cutoff stabs 1/3 pot, we know from theory that the big blind is supposed to check raise around 16% of the time. But how often are they actually check raising in this spot? Let's look at some artificial intelligence data. We're going to see the big blind 3-bet versus the cutoff as the 3-bet pot out of position pre-flop raiser. The check raise frequencies are more than theory. We know 16% is the aggregate theory, but on these low boards, especially the two-tone boards, they're going to be check raising more than theory. Because on the low boards, a lot of the out of positions pre-flop raiser range is going to have 2 overcards and some backdoor draws, either a straight, a flush, or both. They increase and check raise more than theories. So myth number 2 is they actually check raise flop more than theory in certain spots. Now, the third and final spot is that triple barrels are underbluffed. Again, this is specific to the formation, but this is not really true. If you look at MDA for the wide formations, let's look at some MDA for the wide formations. In blinds versus button triple barrel, you see for all sizings, they're actually overbluffed. This is a bet 30, bet 50, bet riverline, reg MDA, blinds versus button. You see bet 70 should be 30, it's 34, bet 100 should be 33, and bet 120 should be 35. So they're overbluffing in every sizing. Now, if you go a little bit deeper into the filters, there are underbluffed spots, but in general, they are overbluffing. Let's also look at another spot. This is the field as the 3-bet pot in position pre-flop raiser, small blind versus big blind 3-bet. Again, these are mostly going to be overbluffed. This should be 25, this should be 30, this should be 33. So the triple barrel line in the wide formations is generally overbluffed. So let's go over the 3 common myths in 3-bet pots. Number 1, your flop C-bet gets an overfold. This is not true. In most formations, you want to be more passive than theory because they overfold to the 3-bet pre-flop. You want to C-bet less than theory, and this is one of the most studied nodes in poker. Number 2, the flop check raises under bluff. This is not true in most formations, especially for the 3-bet pot at a position pre-flop raiser. When the board is low and the 3-bet pot at a position pre-flop raiser checks to you and you stab and they check raise, most of their range is going to be weaker than theory because they have 2 overcards and backdoor straight and flush draws. They will check raise more than the solver. Number 3, triple barrels are under bluff. This is not true. We just looked at the data. In the blinds versus the button, the triple barrel is going to be overbluffed in all sizings. Now some textures will be underbluffed, but it's going to be overbluffed in general. And also in the small blind versus big blind 3-bet, the triple barrel will be overbluffed. If you enjoy this type of content, please give me a like, please give me a subscribe. New video every single day, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.